Scream 3 before Scream 8. Here we go. Scream 3 starts out with Cotton Weary, who gets a call from a super fan of his talk show. And it's going great until the voice changes to Ghostface, who says, "I'm outside your girlfriend's shower, and I will kill her unless you tell me where Sidney Prescott is." We jump to Cotton's apartment, where we see his girlfriend Christine get out of the shower, where she is attacked by Ghostface. But Ghostface is speaking in Cotton's voice, so Christine thinks that it's her boyfriend attacking her. So Cotton's speeding home, but when he gets there, Christine attacks him, thinking that he's Ghostface. And that's when Ghostface pops up and kills Christine, right before killing Cotton. Now we see what Sid's been up to. And she's living in the Hollywood Hills and has a job as like one of those women's counseling crisis hotlines. We also see that she has like a shit ton of locks on her doors. Understandable. We also see our girl Gail again, and she is approached by Detective Kincaid about the murders. And Kincaid shows Gail a picture of a very young Maureen Prescott, and he tells her that, hey, this was left at the scene of the crime. This draws Gail to the set of Stab 3, where we meet that cast. So we got Roman, the director, Milton, the producer, this really annoying chick named Jennifer, who's playing Gail, Tom, who's playing Dewey, Sarah, who's playing Casey, Tyson, who's playing Randy, and Angelina, who's playing Sydney. We also learn that Dewey is working on the set of Stab 3. Now we jump back to Sydney, and we see that she's having like these nightmares of the ghost of her mother haunting her, which I just think is completely unnecessary. So we now jump to a little bit later, and we learn that Sarah has gotten a call from Roman telling her to go down to the studio because he wants her to run lines. So they're running lines over the phone, and Sarah's actually complaining about her part. And that's when our buddy Ghostface pops out. A fight ensues, but honestly Sarah is no match for Ghostface, and he ends up throwing her through a window and killing her. A little while later, Dewey and Gail are talking, and Dewey tells Gail that, hey, a little while ago the file room at the studio was broken into. And judging from a phone call we got earlier, we think that this person was going after Sid's file, but he had already removed it. So because of this, Dewey thinks that someone on the cast or the crew is trying to find Sydney. Then Dewey gets a call from Jennifer. Apparently Jennifer thinks that Dewey's her bodyguard, even though she already has a fucking bodyguard. I don't know. So Gail and Dewey go over to Jennifer's, where she is freaking the fuck out, because Jennifer figures out that the killer is killing the characters in the order that they die in the movie. And apparently Gale Weathers is next in line. And remember, Jennifer is playing Gail in the movie. Now we see them talking to Kincaid, and he tells them that there are actually 3 versions of the script, and they don't know which one the killer read. So Gail might be next, she might not be. Now the cops confront Roman, because remember, he had called Sarah before she died. And when they talked to him, Roman's like, what the fuck? No, I didn't call her. A little while later, we see that Dewey's at Jennifer's house, along with Tom and Angelina. And of course, Gail's there too. And Dewey's checking out a picture of Jennifer that was taken at the studio. And Gail shows Dewey these pictures of Maureen, and she says, hey, I can't find anything on Maureen Prescott from around this age. It's like she vanished. And Dewey's looking at this picture in particular, and he has this realization. And he goes back to the picture he was looking at of Jennifer earlier and realizes that they were taken at the exact same place. So Maureen Prescott had been in LA when she was young during those many years that she had disappeared. Right after this happens, we see Jennifer's bodyguard go into Dewey's trailer, where he is killed by Ghostface. Now the bodyguard is somehow able to walk to the door of the house and before dropping dead. And everyone in the house sees this, and they all start to panic. So they all run outside, but then the fax in Jennifer's house starts printing. So they run back into the house to read these pages, and they realize, oh shit, the killer is writing the scene that we are in right now. And the last line of one of the pages is, the killer will grant mercy to, and remember, everyone's fucking panicking, so they run back outside. And then the last page starts printing. And Tom is a total fucking idiot here, because he runs back inside the house to read the last page, because he decides that, oh my god, I have to. And he can't read the last page, so he lights a fucking lighter to read it. And the last page says, the killer will grant mercy to whoever smells the gas. And the whole house fucking blows up. So Tom dies, and the force of the explosion is so great that it blows everybody back and sends them rolling down a hill. Now Dewey jumps to his feet, and he automatically goes to make sure that Gail's okay, which I fucking love, because we can kind of see that there's some tension between them. And that's when Ghostface pops up behind Gail. Dewey shoots at Ghostface and misses him, and Ghostface just gets the fuck out of there. He doesn't touch Gail. Now Dewey and Gail have this little moment, it's sweet. But it's interrupted by Jennifer, who comes over pissed because Dewey didn't try and go save her first. And she punches Dewey in the face. This bitch. But our girl Gail is like, no way, and she full on punches Jennifer in the face and she goes down. And then they find another picture of Maureen, this time with the words, "I killed her," on the back. Then Sid now shows up at the police station because she wants to help, and she also says, "Take me to where these pictures were taken." And when they go there, they run into Randy's sister, who gives them a tape to watch. You guys, this is my favorite fucking scene in the whole movie, because it's a home video of Randy explaining the rules how to survive this movie. 1, the killer will be superhuman. 2, anyone, including main characters, can die. And 3, the past will come back to bite you in the ass. After this scene, we see Jennifer catch up with Gail when she goes to the archives, because Gail wants more info on Maureen Prescott. And the clerk tells them that Maureen Prescott did used to live in Hollywood, but she went by Rena Reynolds back then. And she was in horror flicks produced by Milton, who is the producer of Stab 3. Later on, we see Sid in the bathroom, and when she steps out of the bathroom, it leads her onto the set, where she is attacked by this mofo. Now, the set of the movie is Sydney's house and Stu's house. So Sydney is running around this recreation of her own house. She's screaming for Dewey. There's one moment where Sydney runs through a door, but it's a movie set and there's no floor. And Ghostface follows her through, but she's been holding onto the wood panels next to the door, so she grabs him and throws him down to the room below. Eventually, Sydney falls off the house, and that's when Ghostface disappears and Dewey finally shows up. A little while later, we see Jennifer, Dewey, and Gail go to talk to Milton about Maureen. And turns out that Milton was actually known for having these parties back in the day that women would show up to in order to meet men. And Maureen, or Rena, was one of these women. And Milton hints at that maybe Maureen had actually been essayed multiple times, which turned her into the woman who got around, which led to the whole Cotton thing and the whole Billy's father thing. Now, it turns out that's actually Roman's birthday, so the cast has gone to Milton's big-ass house to celebrate. And Sydney calls Dewey, Gail, and Jennifer and says, "Hey, I'm actually at Milton's, come and meet me here." But when they get there, of course, they can't find Sydney. Now, Roman tells them this rumor that, like, hey, back in the day, apparently Milton had, like, the secret screening room, so I'm gonna go try and find it. And Tyson, who actually has some brain cells, is like, hey, you know what, there's a killer on the loose, you shouldn't go alone. So Jennifer ends up going with Roman. Now, Dewey and Gail are like, okay, where the fuck is Sydney? So Dewey calls the number that Sydney called him from, but they hear it ringing from the closet. And when they open the closet, they find the Ghostface costume as well as the phone, and a voice distorter that has all of their voices saved on it. So Dewey and Gail are like, okay, fuck, we have to find the others. So they split up, and Gail goes down to the basement where actually Roman and Jennifer had gone down earlier. And Gail finds Roman's dead body. She also finds Jennifer hiding down there. They also find Angelina, but she's like, okay, yeah, know what? Fuck this, every man for himself, and she runs off, where she is killed by Ghostface. Don't go off on your own. Horror 101. The group runs into Tyson, but he's attacked by Ghostface, who throws him out a window and kills him. During the attack on Tyson, Jennifer had fallen to, like, the secret passageway. Ghostface is chasing her, and she finds a two-way mirror where she can see Dewey and Gail on the other side, so she starts pounding on the mirror. Dewey notices the mirror is shaking, so he starts shooting them out, but before he can save her, Jennifer is killed by Ghostface. Ghostface then grabs Gail, but she puts up a pretty good fight, and they fall into the basement. Dewey goes to open the door to go down after them, but Ghostface just throws his knife and straight up knocks him out. This whole time, Sid's been at the police station, and now Ghostface calls her. And he's like, I am holding Gail and Dewey hostage. If you don't come here, I will kill them. And Sydney, having a good heart, goes to help them, but not before grabbing a gun and hiding it in her boot. Sydney gets to Milton's and she's still talking to Ghostface on the phone, and he tells her to pick up this, like, security wand he left at the poolside and wave it over her body, so the gun's exposed now. So that was a useless attempt. Sydney sees Gail and Dewey tied up through a window, so she goes into the house to try and free them, where she is attacked by Ghostface. But that's when this clever fucking bitch pulls out another gun from the same boot. Ghostface, you're stupid. She shoots Ghostface, but it actually doesn't work and Ghostface disappears. And then Kincaid suddenly appears. And from the way he is acting, he is looking very suspicious right now. But we're wrong, because Ghostface pops up, attacks Kincaid, and knocks him out. Ghostface then chases Sid, and they actually end up in that secret room. And then Ghostface reveals he was actually wearing a bulletproof vest, so fuck. And here comes the unmasking. And it's Roman. Not gonna lie, this is a little bit of a letdown, and you'll see why in a second. And Roman tells Sydney that his mother was Maureen Prescott, but back then she went by Rena Reynolds. So Roman is Sydney's older brother. And he says that ever since Maureen had left Hollywood, he'd been trying to track her down. And he tells Sydney that he had actually been trying to find her, and years earlier he had actually found her. And he went to her hoping that she would welcome him with open arms. But at that point, she had a new life and went by Maureen Prescott, and Sydney was the only child she claimed. And Maureen had basically slammed the door in his face. Fuck you, Maureen. Who would turn away their own child? And he reveals that yes, indeed, Maureen had been SA'd in that secret room, which is why she had that affair with Cotton and that affair with Billy's father. Which, of course, as we know, had made Billy insanely pissed off. And Roman had seen that as his opportunity, and he took Billy under his wing so Billy would kill Maureen. And he tells Sydney on his plan on how he's going to stage this. He's essentially going to make it look like Sydney was so pissed off at Milton for letting all this stuff happen to her mother that she kills Milton. And sure enough, he opens a closet, drags Milton out, and kills him. Honestly, not really loving this killer reveal because Sydney didn't know who Roman was. She hadn't met him beforehand, so it's not really a shock value. Meanwhile, Gale and Dewey have actually been able to free themselves, and they grab Mark's gun and they rush off to help Sydney. During that, Roman and Sydney had actually gone into a crazy fight, and I mean fucking crazy. They're grabbing random shit in the room to hit each other with, they're just beating the crap out of each other. Roman trips Sydney and she falls. However, Roman is actually able to get the upper hand and he starts to choke Sydney. Dewey and Gale have found the secret door, but they cannot figure out how to open it. And Dewey thinks that, okay, you know what, if I blow the power, maybe it'll open the door. But he only succeeds in electrocuting himself. Meanwhile, Mark has gotten back on his feet, and he's able to find the secret room before Roman's able to kill Sydney. But Ghostface pops up, attacks Kincaid, and is able to knock him out yet again. Kincaid is not having a great day. By the way, if I called him Mark earlier, that's because his full name is Mark Kincaid. Because of that struggle, Sydney is actually able to grab Roman's knife. And honestly, I think these two lines are just so fucking cheesy. Because Sydney holds it up to him and she's like, lose something? And Roman grabs Mark's gun off the floor and says, found something. I never know how to react to that line. And right then and there, Roman shoots Sydney with the gun and actually kills her. Now this whole time, Gale and Dewey have been trying to get into that secret room and they somehow just can't. I don't really understand why they didn't just try and find another entrance because Kincaid was able to get into the room very easily through another entrance. Anyway, Gale and Dewey's yelling has distracted Roman, and when he looks back, Sydney's gone. Roman's looking around, he can't find her, and we see Sydney slowly reach up to the bar and she grabs an ice pick. Roman now has the idea that he's going to call Sydney's cell phone, so that gives her away. But our clever girl beats him to it and she calls him. And right then and there, Sydney jumps up from behind the bar and stabs Roman with the ice pick. And she reveals to him that she had been wearing a bulletproof vest. Earlier when Sydney had shot Roman, he had revealed that he had a bulletproof vest on. And Sydney's like, I guess we think alike. Gale and Dewey are now finally able to bust their way into the room. Gale runs over to Kincaid, he's fine. And Sydney holds Roman's hand as he's dying. Just another really unnecessary thing because obviously he tried to kill her. But then they remember what Randy had said on the videotape, that the killer always comes back because he's superhuman. And sure enough, Roman pops back up and starts coming at them. Dewey is shooting at his chest, but as we know, bulletproof vest, it ain't doing anything. Sydney starts screaming at Dewey to shoot Roman in the head, and he finally does, and Roman collapses and dies. Now we cut to a few days later, and we see that Sid's actually doing pretty well. She seems a lot more relaxed, and she's not locking all the locks that she has. We see that Dewey and Gale are watching Sydney from her porch, and that's when Dewey brings Gale a copy of that stupid book that she had written about the events from the first movie, and he asks her to sign it for him. And when Gale opens it, there's an engagement ring inside. Meanwhile, Sydney comes inside, and Kincaid's there, he's all happy, healthy, and he says, hey, we're gonna start a movie, come join us. Sydney goes to follow them, and as she does, the door just creaks open behind her on its own, and she looks back at it and just leaves it as it is. And that's Scream 3. Kind of annoyed I had to do this in 2 parts, I'm not gonna lie. Once again, if you guys don't know, I'm Original Final Girl, and I have no idea what I'm doing when I do this. But if you want to watch me make an ass of myself, then click that like and subscribe button or the like and follow button.